Body and Mind Solutions. Our guest today is Gerald Lacey II, and we go way back. So it's an honor to actually have him on and to introduce him to you all. I'm sure you're going to learn a lot from this young man. So if you don't mind, just introduce yourself, go into your background, and bring us up to speed as to what you're currently working on.
Okay. Well, yes, most definitely a pleasure to be having this conversation with you, especially after the multitude of years that we've been friends and developing. But ultimately, from the Crenshaw District, Los Angeles, California, went to the University of Hawaii. That was amazing to just kind of open up my perspectives and thought processes to different ways of living and different ways of even interacting with people. From there, skipped over LA for a while, moved to Vegas. I got into, well, actually, I started my entrepreneurship journey while I was in Hawaii before I left. Started with we had a little car wash that was out there. So that was cool. Learned a few lessons, just kind of getting going. And then moved to Las Vegas. It was a good time. It was 1998. So, Vegas was kind of the wild, wild west at that time. Yeah, it was. Real estate was easy. Things were inexpensive. There was a lot of ways to kind of capitalize in a few different industries. So it was kind of blessed in that. Ended up moving to Florida, early 2000s, just and kind of created a different, experience. Kind of, I guess you could kind of say, had a slight early retirement. I mean, it wasn't really fully retirement, but based on the success I was blessed with, I was able to kind of have some freedom of thought in mind, got back into the entrepreneurship journey because I was kind of doing music the whole time. We had a record label, Dynasty Records, from 2000. And, we're successful getting a couple of record deals for our artist, My Shine. Stayed on that journey. Then I moved into fashion. I got into the fashion space. I had my own brand and was consulting on some other brands. And we ended up getting our own factories in LA. Had a small one, outgrew it, ended up with a larger one right there on Olympic and Alvarado, 13,000 square feet. We had 140 employees. And then that's actually when I had no idea because I was just so enthralled in everything that we were doing, really positioning for our next level of life. And that's kind of when the bottom, dropped out of the financial world, with the real estate, the crash, 2008. I was actually in the midst of that, when I was like right in the middle of my grind to the next level. And, really since then, just been really formulating different, ideas, collaborating with different people, and then building software that can provide, building software with love that can hopefully provide some solutions moving forward, especially with the way, AI and all these things are coming. Our solutions are really about the people.
Oh, nice. So one thing I did not include in that intro is the visionary. So that is the AKA. So Gerald Lacey II, also known as the visionary. So if you could just expand on, and thank you for giving us your background. You have a lot of experience as an entrepreneur in many different facets. So congrats on all of that success. So the visionary, why? Like, how does that represent, or why did you choose the visionary? Like, what's behind that name?
Well, quite honestly, I was actually given that name. I didn't choose it for myself. And, after, when it was brought up to me, I agreed with it because historically, I had been blessed enough to be far ahead of a lot of things. Like I was pushing hard, pushing fast early, always having an idea, always seeing what could be, right? And that's really what a visionary is, right? The ability to see something or have a vision for something far before it actually comes to fruition. And I was actually writing the book, The Visionary, a collaboration of visionary insights. And the young lady that I was working with, it was actually because that book actually started because I was going to do a speaking gig, and it was the blueprint for the CEO or something like that. And as I was kind of writing down all of the things that I'd done and, all the solutions, I was, really a solution-based person. And then it just, in that conversation, it just kind of came out, man, like, so you're like the visionary. So I was like, oh, that's cool. I like that. So since then, I've just kind of created a whole ecosystem of visionary products. And then also while staying in the innovation space and, and pushing, different envelopes in different areas while still staying connected and positioning to give back once it all comes to fruition.
Oh, nice. Yeah. And I was looking for my book. I do have the visionary, the blueprint, the book that he's speaking of, and I was going to show that to you all, but couldn't find it. So, and you can get that book on Amazon, right?
Yeah, Amazon. So, yep, Gerald Lacey II. It's the visionary, a collaboration of visionary insights. It's interesting just because there's so many different visionary products now. I wrote that book in 2018. Even my YouTube page, it's the visionary path. There's people that have other pages. It's very interesting, but yeah, it's Gerald Lacey II that usually cuts through all the chaos out there for the visionary brands.
Okay, and now that you mentioned chaos, because that was my next thing. So business can become chaotic. Life itself can also reflect that. So how do you maintain your vision? So if you have one particular idea and you're focused, but things, environmental, what it appears to be is not kind of in alignment at that very moment. So how do you redirect or maintain that vision?
Honestly, I feel like I have to give some credit to my upbringing and my upbringing internally from the household, but then also the environment that I grew up in, where there's a whole movie about it that kind of showcased some of the things that you might have to deal with on a daily basis. And I feel like I've always had to kind of remain calm, right? Because there's so much stimuli coming from everywhere, so many choices on a daily basis. And this was natural because I wasn't really familiar with the spiritual journey or energies or anything. I was just always an optimist. So I was kind of just riding that wave. But, moving forward to today, where so much input, so much extra stimuli, social media and all these things that are happening, it can get rather chaotic. But really, it's just really about, for me, remaining calm in the eye of the storm, right? And pausing in those moments. If it does feel chaotic, having the discipline to pull away from that, pausing for sure, not being non-reactive. And a lot of times, that actual reaction in a chaotic situation, whether it's personal, business, whatever it is, can get you to a goal that you weren't necessarily anticipating, or that is not as advantageous as if you were to pause and think and kind of come up with a solution that works for that whole situation. So really, I feel like the key is just kind of pausing in that moment, breathing, and really realizing that all moments do pass, right? However hectic, right? Yeah. However hectic, however stressful, if that's something you identify with, or however much pressure, then yeah, just pause.
Pausing, reflecting. Okay. And let's talk about balance, because what we're doing here, we're incorporating the aspects of self-care and well-being. And you're one of our first male guests. So nice. You should, feel good about that. One of the first men that we've had. I do plan to expand because we need to hear, how you all are handling situations that could appear to be, like I'm saying, chaotic, but just maintaining your cool as a man. So, so my next thing, I'm curious to know about your self-care habits. So what are your go-tos? I know you just talked about breathing and just pausing. Those are good examples as well. But do you ever receive, massages? Are you going to get in a sauna, cold plunging? What does that look like for you?
Well, I do thoroughly enjoy massages. Don't prefer Thai massages, or something that is kind of intense. So I like to be walked on, or I like a lot of pressure from that perspective. Haven't, interestingly enough, at this at this phase in my life, just because it has been rather intense. I haven't taken much time to get massages, but what I have done is a lot of stretching. I feel like flexibility is playing a major role in my ability to continue. I noticed that when I wasn't stretching or taking that time to stretch, you got to figure that is complete you time, right? And when you're stretching, you could be distracted or you could be listening to something, but even if there is some distractions, you're still working on your body, and we only have one body, so it is our temple. So we must take the time to pay attention to our bodies. I think that's one of the things that I've been blessed with, is the ability to really hear and understand what my body needs, and then being in tuned enough to make those decisions. I've been an athlete since I was 7 years old, so always having to, I guess, perform at the highest level. You really do have to listen to your body. In addition to the stretching and the flexibility, I've cold plunged a few times. I love it. It was completely invigorating. And if there's ever a sauna or anything around, I will hop in it. But my go-to, honestly, I don't know if it's because I'm a beach baby, is getting to some water. I feel like the regenerative energy of the sea is something that really kind of helps me ground, and it doesn't cost anything. You can really get a good stretch in the sand, because it gives a little bit, and oftentimes there's heels and different things like that where you can not only improve, your body, your stature, your movement, and you can also kind of just ground. They're saying there's the regenerative energy of the sea because it's constantly moving. So that's one of my go-tos is the beach, honestly.
Nice. So do you find that, I'm sure you are around and spend time with other like-minded business people? So do you find that it's common, whether they're men or women, but that the emphasis is being put on well-being and quality of life and the self-care, just pouring in? Or we're in this phase where we should be pouring from our overflow, and oftentimes we're pouring from a cup that's not quite full because we're taking care of so many things. So just based on your experience with other professionals, do you find that they are also taking the time to, do what you're doing, go to the beach, make sure that they're getting a massage, getting a stretch, or just putting that extra time and care into their physical bodies?
I do. I feel like it's an emerging trend. Wellness has always been important. I feel like now that people are becoming more aware of, what's in the foods and, the type of water you drink and all that, there's been a major awareness campaign. And I do see that a lot of people are gravitating towards wellness. I love wellness. I actually have a whole product line called Visionary Organic Wellness that I look forward to, putting some more time and energy into developing. So for me, I definitely like to understand what it is I'm eating and digesting. And in regards to other people, I feel like it's kind of environmental. I feel like when I'm on the coast, or if I'm in a coastal city where everything is accessible, is like right now, if you go to Manhattan Beach, or if you go to Hermosa, or if you go to Dockweiler or Santa Monica, you're going to see loads of people, taking breaks, or they've created the kind of life that allows them to rollerblade or bike or jog or play volleyball. It's in the daytime, right? So where the normal person will be working, and it's all ages, quite honestly. What I see, I'm in Florida right now. If you go, you see all up and down the coast, people are enjoying that lifestyle. And then also, a lot of corporations this has been years ago, but when they used to make sure that people are taking walks, throughout the day, so they're just not sitting all day. But I do feel like there's an emerging trend, and that's why we got to get BAMs into more hands, right? Because
Absolutely.
as they're doing this, right, they could be sore, or they could, they might want to beautify, or whatever the case may be. And they need people that care and that have that level of insight to really help them. Because I feel like there's so much information. Also, where do you actually get the information from? right? Other than just going for a jog or,
Yeah.
a stretch or, drinking a green smoothie.
Drinking the green smoothie. That definitely sounds good right about now. And so we kind of covered what I was going to go into as far as just taking time for just the recovery aspect. So we kind of put all of that into so one thing. But yeah, I'm pleased to see that more corporations are investing in their employees, and that the companies that aren't, I've learned that employees are now kind of putting it in their own hands and making these initiatives and taking them to human resources to just say, hey, like, this is important. Work-life balance is very important. And I think what people don't realize, even as business owners, it's far more expensive when you're reactive, and now a person is not their best, or even yourself, you're sick. If you take the preventive measures in advance, it's just far more effective to me. It just costs you more when you wait until something happens. Now you're trying to develop the mindset to push through that circumstance. And we just spoke about, even with eating, I often get, oh, you're vegan, plant-based, that has to be expensive. I think being sick is far more expensive than what I'm putting into maintaining my balance, emotionally, physically, just feeling my best. Because when you find yourself in a situation that you have to really heal from something that could be very severe, and if you don't have that discipline, this has made me very disciplined. Number one, I've already been disciplined, but this just took it up a couple notches. But if you don't practice things and put yourself in uncomfortable situations before something happens, I think it's just far more difficult. You put yourself, it's just more challenging to me. So
That's what cold plunging is, really. Like, cold plunging is just that.
So wait, let's talk about cold plunging.
Okay.
So when my daughter, maybe like 2 years ago, her birthday, we went to a spa in Venice Beach. I think it's called Mother's Den. Very nice place. Like, I love to support other spas, entrepreneurs that do massage therapy, but I love getting massages, right? Well, this place had the cold plunge and hot sauna effect, right? So very beautiful, very serene. The setup was amazing. So we basically went like 20 minutes heat in the sauna, and then you shower and got into the cold plunge. Or it could have been cold plunge, shower, heat, however it worked out.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. The first couple minutes, and I put my toes in, I was like, oh, I can't do it. I got out. I was like, there's no way.
No way.
Heba pushed me, she pushed me through. And once I actually got in up until like my shoulder, and I'm just like, and I started to like really calm and got relaxed. I probably stayed in maybe a minute, but when I got out, I felt so liberated. Like, I felt free. I just felt like every cell in my body was like moving around. I can't even explain it. It felt so good.
It's 100%. And you did it right. I mean, because once your body temperature cools. So after that first minute, did you get back in after?
So yeah, I kept the rotation strong at that point. It was amazing. Yeah. I loved it.
It's the mindset too, like, and then just the ability to calm. It's a high pressure moment for the body, especially if you're not used to, feeling something that cold. Definitely not on purpose, because people traditionally run from cold water or whatever. But once you realize how much it resets and invigorates, then it's I would like to, actually, I'm going to start doing it more, taking that time, just because I feel like, especially as we mature, it's important to continuously reset. And it seems like a bad idea of getting into some 30, 42 degree water, but it's really a great idea.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. That's a great benefit to the body for sure. So I'm looking forward to doing it again. That was 2 years ago, and I have not tried it since, but I can remember exactly how great I felt once my body settled. I was ready to like get right back in. So let's talk about, you are working on an app you're in the process of an app, or I mean, it's just technology, period. I know that's part of your background as well. So just kind of shed light on some of your more recent projects or things that you may want the audience to go and check out.
Yeah, so right now at the forefront is there's two projects at the forefront, and you got oh, okay. Yeah. So yeah, right now there's two different there are two projects that we're working on, and they're actually launched. It's a long time coming. One of them is called Where We All Meet. It's WWAM in the App Store. And that whole thing is designed as a social space where you can just create authentic connections and genuine experiences ultimately, right? We live in a landscape now where, you know, everything has filters. Everything is about the dopamine effect of likes and comments. So we left that out. It's really just about truly connecting. And, you know, most of us live such an incredible life that, and it never has before those social platforms were created. It was never about, you know, validations, external validations. You know, it was really about your internal circle, or if you were to, you know, engage or network, you know, about that energy that you were able to create there. So we designed it. I like to give the example, it's like the beach, right? There could be, you know, a million people at the beach at the same time, but everybody's there for a different reason, and everybody's there to enjoy it how they want. So what we did was we made a geolocated event base. So basically being to know everywhere you go. You can book getaways, you can organize girls trips, you know, corporate trips, you can organize, you know, just a trip between you and your significant other. We have secure communications. We have a video chat system that's not third party, fully secure, encrypted end to end. So if you want to communicate, you don't have to worry about, you know, all your data being all over the place. But it's really just a place for people to connect and enjoy life. It's in the lifestyle section of the App Store. So it's really just about how you want to enjoy life. And we just created the mechanism to make that easier to connect with family, friends, loved ones, and meet somebody new if that's what you want, whether it's friends.
So yeah, I was going to ask that question. So not just limited to, because I know some people are like, oh, I don't want to be on a dating app. So this is a social app. It includes all the things you explained. It could be business, professional connections. It can be like that social dating aspect if you want to connect in that sense. You just named a few different things, but I wanted to just make sure that people understand. Yeah, it's not a
percent, because you can have your profile it could just be you and your husband, or you and your wife, and you and the kids, or you and just your family. Because, you know, one of the things that happens is that it's difficult for people, even sometimes when they live in the same city. You know, you have cousins that you thoroughly enjoy, but you just haven't seen them in 6 years because you live on one side of town and they live on the other. And it just, you know, life happens and you don't really get to see them. But where we all meet, it's a way that, let's just say you are going to an event or you're going to have dinner somewhere and they're on your friends list, you could just send them the opportunity to join, right? So it's simple, just as you're on any text message or any other social platform. It's just about re-engaging authentically with those that you love or want to connect with. And then if there is, you know, a scenario where you do want to meet someone new, and it doesn't necessarily have to be dating, we kept that in mind, because oftentimes when you meet somebody new, it's not necessarily for a personal connection, right? There could be business, you could be looking for clients, there could be so many different things. There could be a network or some access to some information. You might even want to hire them. There's so many different ways to connect. It's just that people all automatically gravitate to meeting somebody new. I'm letting them into my life, and they're going to want to date me. But with Where We All Meet, it's all opt-in. So even when you go to somebody's platform and you click on a video, you have to click it again. So it's really self-police. Like, if you really don't want to see anything, then you don't have to. And that's another thing. It's not a broadcast network. So it's not just like, you know, everybody can see everything I'm doing. We have to be friends. You have to let them in. They can't just message you. So it's really just life. It mirrors real life. And if you go somewhere and you don't want to meet anybody, you don't have to, right? Like, so if you go on Where We All Meet and you don't want to meet anybody, you don't have to. You could have a million people trying to meet you if your profile is open. But if it's just about you and your family, you know, it's designed for you to connect and improve your life, right, through lifestyle.
Nice. And so thank you for explaining that. I'm trying to keep everything separate, but we've grouped a lot of what we're discussing, which is fine as well. Because we're going into just our emotional standpoint, maintaining your mentality, because this is business. And you gave a very extensive background with a lot of things that you have accomplished and been successful at. So are there any particular books, like what, aside from your own, because I know you're a creative, you're a visionary, and you have your own books, you're an author, but what are some of your go-to books that you read that kind of bring you into that whole emotional, your spirituality that we talked about, just the mental being strong? What do you read?
That's a really interesting question, because so prior to writing my book, I hadn't read any books or anything like that. I was just naturally on this optimistic wave, and but as I was literally like my next book is really about the recession story, because it was not that I made all the best decisions on my journey, but I was still in well enough position to make it through regardless. I invested in a lot of people and a lot of things that didn't necessarily pan out, but I was still in the mix. And when the recession came, it kind of put me into, I call it my upward spiral, right? Because it was like, now I have to figure some things out that I wasn't really necessarily ready to figure out, right? As things like, just to give you an example, we were doing like 80 to 100,000 units a week for BB. I don't know if you remember the company BB, right? They used to have all the shirts and they have the stores everywhere. But if you see, BB doesn't exist anymore in any mall, right?
Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they went online and all that kind of stuff. But at that time, I'm actually watching, BB close, 30% of their stores. Obviously, the order stopped, because it was a trickle down effect, right? People didn't have money, so stores aren't getting money. So anything that was already in motion, may not get paid, right? So that whirlwind of having to understand some things that I might not have, considered understanding, kind of came to the forefront. And I might say that I haven't really read that many books. I do have an Audible account that I've just sporadically, as I try to just reformulate, had to kind of I started just kind of clicking on things that I thought that could be, that could be, I have to look at my little thing, because, I just, like when I fly or something, I'm clicking on, but it's just easier for me to kind of go on there because I really don't remember. But some of the ones that I actually thought was interesting, I actually like, if you're in entrepreneurship, I like the Alex Hormozy books. It's like the $100 million leads or $100 million something like that. I thought that was, let me see if I have.
Yeah, I like Audible too. Audible is my go-to when I'm trying to just listen to a book, when I can't just sit still and hold it. But I like to be intimate with my book so I can highlight and do certain things with them. So, but I definitely use Audible as well.
Yeah, I like the $100 million leads. Actually, like after I started really getting to the spirituality thing, I definitely checked out the Kybalion, because that's what everybody was talking about. So I wanted to understand that, all the laws and stuff like that. So I've read or listened to multiple versions, and I've actually kind of read a couple of PDFs. One that I thought was interesting that was new, The Diary of the CEO. That's that young brother. I think he's from Britain or something like that. I didn't even know that was his book.
That's a new one for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, The Diary of a CEO. It's actually cool. That's Stephen Bartlett. That's the guy who he has that podcast. I can't remember his podcast name, but actually pretty interesting. I didn't know, he had a successful agency in London, and then that's how he really much scaled. And now he interviews, some of the best people around the world. So, definitely some good insight on him. I definitely plug him, respect his journey. But I just go down. These are the things that I did caught my eye. I'm just going to go down just a quick list. Mm-hmm. The Neuroscience of Selling, Pattern Breakers, The Diary of a CEO, 12 Powers of Man, was a little bit slow for me. The Emerald Tablet, $100 million leads. The Obstacle is the Way. The 1 Minute Cure, that was just somebody that was dealing with some issues, so I kind of get that. Super Founders, Unleashing the Power of the God Code, from, I don't know what that is, from PMO to VMO. I don't think I read that one yet, but 5 Types of Wealth, Pure Human. What else? Why Startups Fail, Your Next 5 Moves is actually pretty good. That was this Next 5 Moves was actually pretty interesting. I like that. The SaaS Playbook, and then a bunch of Harvard Business Reviews, stuff like that, just when they kind of giving some information about different things. Neuromarketing, $1 Million Weekend, that was actually pretty interesting. That was the dude that used to work for Facebook. He was like the 30th dude in Facebook, and he ended up messing up, and it kicked him out, and he kind of came up with a strategy. But usually I just pop these little books on, and when I'm just like on a plane and just seeing, sometimes I get through them. But it was actually a cool book that was The Saint, the Surfer, and the CEO.
Really? Okay. The Saint, the Surfer, and the CEO.
Yeah, so it was more story. It's like a story, but I found it pretty interesting, like just the perspectives. It was about different people crossing paths at different times in their lives, and how it was rather serendipitous, right? And it was really about energy, and it kind of reminded me of purifying from the root, which is something that I talk about, and just really like being open to your purpose and your journey, and all these people were crossing paths. But I would probably check that one out, just if it is
absolutely
a story. Some of the other ones were specific, and it was really understanding, marketing, or really seeing what these people are dealing with from the tech CEO perspective, or from the marketing perspective, like really trying to get some insight on. Because these are people that have done it. Everything I did really was kind of off the cuff. I didn't have that. I don't have a marketing degree. I have a sociology degree. So, I understand people maybe naturally, and then maybe from being in such diverse communities just across the country. But yeah, so hope that answered.
You mentioned being an athlete. So in your experience at the collegiate level, and you played in high school?
I did. Played in high school.
Like I forgot. Like I'm over here. Basketball, and you play football too, though.
Basketball. Well, I played all three. But so I been playing all three my whole life, and then I was really supposed to play football. I was supposed to go to Dorsey and play football, and then I went to Crenshaw, like the summer camp, and had all the banners in the ceiling, and my ball dunked on the kid or whatever. People went crazy. I was like, oh, we're gonna go win the championship. So I ended up going to Crenshaw to play basketball, and then end up playing football my senior year. So I played baseball in the 10th, but I didn't really keep going. Then I ended up playing basketball, because basketball was rather intense at Crenshaw, and then ended up playing football my senior year. Ended up getting a scholarship to the University of Hawaii. So then, I finished out my athletic career there.
Okay, nice. So those experiences, do you ever look back or think just working on a team, or playing on a team, participating, and just gaining that experience from being a leader on the team and a role player, if you will, just depending on what your position was, but do you contribute any of that to your success in business?
I feel like it's been my gift, and I feel like it's been a portion of, if I could, I don't really want to call it a portion of my lessons, right? Because I've been on teams since I was 7 years old, right? And I was mostly a team captain, mostly a leader, leading the charge, leading the chance, but always willing to play 6-man, or I didn't mind coming off the bench in basketball. Like, everybody really cared about starting, but I knew that I would make an impact whenever I came in. But that team aspect, that camaraderie, is actually something that I think I long for, and maybe even put too much emphasis on at times. And we live in a time now, so as things have evolved, right? And when you transition out of the sports into the real world, there was a time when you were one of the only few people that had ideas, right? There was a time when everybody didn't have an idea, right? And then, so when everybody doesn't have an idea and you have an idea, more people were more apt to assist, join your team, help you put it together. Hey, let's grind this out together. Let's win. Let's do all these different things. And then, there was obviously the innovation bubble, right? Early 2000s, all that kind of stuff, where, now 15, 20 years later, right? Everybody has an idea. And then even at the smallest level, it's a lot more difficult, especially if you're a minority and you're underfunded, which typically in technology, most minority companies are underfunded. Like even us, we bootstrap this, and by the graces of being connected with an incredible engineer, we're able to get these things done. But it's really difficult out there, especially in the technology space, if you're underfunded. Like, how do you get the right team to join you if you can't pay 80,000, 100,000 a year, because people have lives, people have things. And then as you mature, right, as age happens, right, and then it just depends on what type of person. So maybe you can catch someone that's retired and then they want to participate. But if you're somebody in their prime, like, you really have to be in position to pay, right? And but now I'm just saying, I grew up in a time where it was like, let's get it together, and then we could celebrate together, right? And most of the time, those were wins, right? Because now you have, 2 heads are better than 1, or 5 heads are better than 2, right? So now everybody's, doing their part and winning. But then as you move forward, I mean, it's not a bad thing. It's just my experience is that I could literally, have a nice car, be driving down the street and say, hey, I'm on this mission, you want to come? And they might hop in and we off on the mission. I experienced that type of, I guess, spontaneous ambition, right?
Spontaneous ambition. I love that.
Right. Now, going forward, it might still be the same, but I've just seen that, if all of the pieces didn't go together, whether it's a certain amount of equity, a certain amount of money, a certain amount of this, all these different things, it just got a lot more, complicated, I feel like. But I love team. Like, I'm gonna die being an advocate of team. I love, getting up and waking up and working out, with people, or, winning with people, or working on something with people.
Nice. And so for our young entrepreneurs, or and mind you, this is a very relaxed, when I do these interviews, it's very relaxed, just formal but yet informal at the same time. So I appreciate you just being comfortable, and you may see me drift off. I'm taking notes as you speak, but it's a very chill, relaxed. I'm all about relaxation. So it's a relaxed environment here. So if we're speaking to our younger entrepreneurs that haven't quite placed both of their feet into this very unique world, because it is very different, as very different than when you are going into a place of business that's already in existence, and you have your schedule, you know what you're doing, you have your days off, you have your work assignment, but when you're an entrepreneur, I think this is all, you are the creator of all those things. You have to set the tone. So any suggestions or just advice that you would give to, someone who they're kind of battling between just going all the way in, they have some type of worry, maybe, just what are some of the things that you could say, like, to uplift or maybe motivate some of our younger people?
I feel like even before the motivation or the uplifting, right, it is a certain mindset that you have to embody to take the entrepreneurial journey. And my first recommendation is to create a system for your idea, right? If you have the biggest idea or the smallest idea, the simplest idea, the most complicated idea, work on the system. There's a book that's I can't, for whatever reason, it's not coming to me, but it's about business models. And there's basically been established over years of research. There's only 55 business models out of all the businesses that exist in the world. And this is something that, again, I was blessed to kind of do it off the cuff, right? And that brings me to, so the system, I actually created a system right now that is about your system. Because you'll think that entrepreneurship is about hustle or over grinding, but really it's just about your system, and your system being efficient. The more efficient your system gets, the more you'll be motivated, because you'll start seeing results faster, right? Because usually if there's some apprehension, it's because it's unknown, but it's only unknown because there's no system to get you to your goal. So if you know where your goal is, you can kind of work backwards from that and make sure that you understand what your idea is, right? What is it to you? What is it to your customer or client? Like, is it understandable, or do you only understand it? So take time to work on what it actually is, who will get the most value from receiving your product or your service, and really put a system together that helps you get there, because that is going to make your journey a lot easier. Like literally, I'm as much as I've done, I made, a decent amount of change in my lifetime. I had to come up with a way to operate, by a system in today's society. And it's been happening. Or if you think about an assembly line, or if you think about, how do we get, all of these products into a grocery store, and like all of these different companies, and where it's placed, and the SKUs and everything. Like, can you imagine the chaos in a grocery store if there was no system? It'd be stuff everywhere. You know what I'm saying? It'd just be like,
yeah, it's true. That's a great point.
Yeah. So I feel like the biggest thing that I can do, that I could recommend, is to build a system
Build
around
a
your.
system. Okay. And is that something that you offer? Do you have a service currently that if I'm looking to, a mentor or find some place that offers that, do you have something available to entrepreneurs?
100%. So I did create this for myself, and then made it available to entrepreneurs. It's the visionary. It's not just visionary 21-day blueprint.com. And it is actually a way to put all of these things in order. We have a 7-day revenue sprint in there. So 21 days to complete transformation from apprehension or from a certain revenue amount to an actual goal. And it's something that you can implement on a daily basis. And interestingly enough, so for the youth, though, I also created, you probably can't see it because of my background.
Oh, yeah, it was, but you know what? It was part of it was coming up if you bring it more towards your center.
Oh, okay.
We were able to see it. Oh, no, you're right. I don't see nothing no more. There we go. It's nice. We can, okay. The Junior Visionary Workbook, yes.
Yeah, so this is for ages 12 to 18. So this is just a way to get your ideas out of your head and on the paper. And I'll send it. I mean, actually, I can send you a digital copy so you can just really see it. But just really kind of design that as well. It's much more simple than that. Than the 21-day blueprint, because it's really about getting to it and getting some money right now. That's more so about getting your ideas out of your head and onto paper, so you have a way to kind of go back and to grow and to build. But yeah, so that's
nice. So I have a follow-up question, and I think the computer may have frozen.
My products. I do offer some hourly, half day, and daily rates depending on where you are. If you really just want to, have a wellness coach or a business coach or somebody just to help you with that just little nudge you need, because sometimes it's really just a little nudge, right? You actually wouldn't be reaching out to me if it was more than a nudge, right? It's like, man, I'm there, I'm feeling it, I'm thinking about it. Oh, Gerald Lacey second came into my sphere because I'm either thinking or I'm searching it, and maybe I came up with something that Google ads or Meta ads kind of brought into your sphere of influence, and then it's just that little nudge, right? Like, I'm essentially your accountability partner.
Nice, I like that. And I just have a follow-up question. So, with that junior workbook, have you ever considered maybe, I'm just saying LAUSD because that's what we are a product of, but maybe as an elective or after school, some type of curriculum where that can be introduced because I know that is something that is missing in most cases. And that's a great way, because that's high school. What was the age you said, up to 18?
12 to 18. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're graduating about 17 or 18 before you get into college. But yeah, that would be great if that was something that was available in high schools.
So the idea was for it to eventually either be an elective or a program, like how they used to come to the schools with the DARE program.
Yes. The knowledge is power. Yes.
Yeah. So, I really, ultimately an elective would be like the greatest, goal, because it's something that you can really take time. And then I would, need to collaborate with an educator or someone to create, a real, curriculum behind it. But we also have an educational software that we built that, this in the final stages of development, that hopefully I can add that into it. And it's kind of a solution for, kids having to use, multiple platforms. And then also, I know you're in Jackson too, so I wanted to mention that one of the other platforms that we have is called the Dash Box. Oh, I'm sorry, that's the original. The Dash Shop. The Dash Box is the actual kiosk. The Dash Shop is the online platform, but it's designed to empower local retailers, because with big box stores, with Amazon, and with the emergence of convenience, the local stores are being left behind, right? And I know that, the community is thriving and looking to thrive. And I feel like we should not pass over our local retailers for Amazon and, letting all that money get outside of our communities, because it's most important that we keep our storefronts open. I was literally on Melrose and Sunset Plaza in Los Angeles, which historically you could never get a retail space. Right now, you could pick what retail place you want. There's so many for lease signs on Melrose, Sunset. Where all the billboards are, Sunset Plaza. Yeah, like, oh yeah, there's probably like 10 spaces for rent. I mean, granted, the rent or the lease is probably going to be expensive, but if we take that to a place like Jackson, wherever the thriving areas, the main streets, and we empower the community with a tool that allows them to provide the convenience of an Amazon or a Walmart.com, or anyone who's offering delivery within the hour, and we don't take any fees. The whole idea is to really empower. So it's community based. But so I know you're in Jackson. And
yeah, thanks for mentioning that. And we can definitely talk offline about those projects that are going to be out here. That's beautiful. Congratulations on that too.
Thank you.
We celebrate all wins. There are no small wins. No win too small, no win too big. So we celebrate all wins. So let's see. Self-care, mental health, self-love, just all these things that we embody that make us grow into our best selves and be, the stress thing for me, it's a silent killer. The symptoms can be overlooked. We'll just keep going. We'll just keep going. So how important is it for you to just intentionally take time for you, whatever that looks like? I know we talked about some of the things you enjoy doing, but just really being intentional about listening to your body, but doing the things that really bring you to center before you go into like your next big project? Or are you mindful of those things? Or is it just grind, hustle? You got something new that's coming on. Are you intentional about, okay, let me prepare for this? And the way that I prepare for this is by doing X, Y, and Z. Is that something that's currently, already happening in your space?
100%. And all that you express right there, to me, comes down to alignment. Right? All of that is, one, realizing that there is time. Right? Often we operate in haste, right? Thinking that we do have to get started right now, or we have to do this right now, or if we miss, this deadline, is going to be, XYZ. And there's obviously some deadlines that you can't miss, but I feel like when my mind, my body, my emotions, and my spirit are aligned, it's better, easier to make proper decisions, because any business or any even relationship, it's all about solutions, right? If there's any kind of adverse energy or any type of stimuli that comes in that causes additional pressure, and I know it's a medical term, and I know that people really deal with this, something that actually happens based on your cortisol and all that, but I really personally don't identify with stress. Like I've been I removed the idea of it out of my mind, my psyche, and I really kind of push it towards pressure, right? Because pressure is a little bit more scientific, right? It can be released, it can be applied. It's more like energy, right? There's all pressure is like energy is always there. It's just a matter of to what degree, right? So, and I feel like if you take out the thing that you have to deal with, right, which is stress. Stress is something you have to deal with. Oh, I have stress, I have to de-stress, right? So that's like an actual step in front of like, releasing this pressure, which can come in the form of breath, which could come in the form of waking up in the morning and you giving yourself, 30 minutes before you get on Instagram, or before you, check an email, or before you take phone calls. Maybe just sit at the edge of your bed and, just rotate your neck and breathe and just allow yourself to come into the moment of the day, the blessing of your rising, the blessing of, the fact that there is breath in your lungs. And I feel like it kind of helps you process a little better. I know it's helped for me because it's been extremely intense, right? There's been a bunch of pressure, just really having to push through and then always show up, with a smile. Like, how does that happen, right? Remaining calm in the eye of the storm, calming in the moment. Recently, I've been doing a lot more breathing, which interestingly enough has helped me when I decided to, being not in the best shape that I've, ever been in, deciding to go on a jog. Me actually breathing and holding and controlling my breath is actually allowing me to push further. So I really I guess I couldn't really express it enough how important it is to be aligned.
To be aligned. And I'm glad the way you your perspective on stress, because even in this profession, I'm not into managing any type of pain, managing no stress levels. We want to get rid of that. The end goal is to not experience. And I think we're so used to we have forgotten that pain is not normal. It's something that we can experience, but we should not be in pain every day. Simple movements should not be painful. But we have inflammation, and then we can go into, well, why do we have the inflammation? And we can go into all these things, but ultimately society has gotten used to managing. So you manage it by way of taking a pill. You manage it by way of just doing business as usual, because in your mind, you've accepted it. You think it's okay. You think it's normal, whether you're just sitting still, sitting down. I went to I don't remember the year, but it was a stretching class, pain, posture, performance. One thing I learned, the instructor demonstrated just a simple squat, just sitting. There should be no pain. And you should be able to do this and sit in this position for as long as you can with no pain, and then just keep each day trying it to get better at it and better at it. And so when we think about things like that, you change your perspective to know there is something on the other side of this, but it's going to take me to get myself there. So I just like the way that you explained that you're not going to identify and relate to stress, if you will, but you do understand that there's pressure. And this is how you are removing that. You're not going to allow that to be something that's going to prevent you from your best self. So I just, I wanted to touch on that to get people to understand, we don't manage it, get rid of it, have a goal to eliminate it, so you can be your best self. And there are plenty of things we can do. We talked about massaging. That's one aspect of it. Cold plunges, sauna, your breath work. But even with all those things, if you return to an environment that is keeping you sick, if you will, or just not your best self, then everything you just did is going to go out the window. So it's full circle. It's so many different levels to just maintaining your well-being and your quality of life. So let's see.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you feel like? So in all that you said, whether it's environmental or whatever, the ability to release, right? Even if you're massaging someone or if you are assessing, where they need to go to improve, can you maybe shed some insight on the ability to release, even if you take it all the way down to your subconscious or things that could be holding you back or any type of mental blockade that could be essentially transitioning or transferring into a physical ailment, but just the concept of being able to release, whether it's in the moment or forever.
So one modality that for sure helped me when we talk about emotional blockages and holding on to things that we may not even know play a part in our mood, in our behavior, our thinking, being, and doing. Just we don't know sometimes. Like, why I'm happy, everything is good, but why do I feel low energy, or why do I feel it seems like I'm sad, or as though something is wrong, but I'm in a good space? Well, the first time I tried Reiki, which is not a massage, it is exactly that. It is energy work. I didn't even realize that I had these blockages going on. Our main focus was my solar plexus and sacral chakra. And even prior to the practitioner coming to my home, I didn't want to share any information. I just wanted her to just be in her own element of identifying what could possibly be, going on with me. She said, on my drive here, my back was hurting. I said, damn, okay. I'm kind of experiencing lower back. Okay. And then she also said something about her knee. And I said, okay, we connected. And again, I love to support people that I have a history with. And so we went to high school together. We have a long background as well. And I said, okay, well, I'm not even going to say anything else. We're already in alignment. We're already connected.
Mm-hmm.
And while lying on my back, your eyes are closed. I could sense where she was. I had an outburst, of just crying, things going on that I just had no idea. But as it was taking place, I could feel the energy moving. I could feel the release taking place. It was just that sudden relief, an instant just relief. And when we spoke after, she was like, sis, your solar plexus, your sacral. And we just talked about, we had an intimate conversation just about things that, now that we're having this conversation, I can go into some trauma. I can go into some things that I didn't realize I still needed to work through emotionally. So for me, the biggest release that I felt was through Reiki. If you want to do just some more on the spot, and I don't want to say simple, but just on the spot, you right now, you get up in the rising and maybe you write out some things that are going on with you because you're self-aware and okay, this is what's happening with me right now. This is where my mind is. So I'm going to write this out, leave it on the paper, and then I'm going to burn it. For me, that's also been helpful, but from a therapeutic, when we talk about these energies, Reiki is, I would say, for anyone who has not tried it and you have that urge and you know that something is going on, give it a try. Change your life. It will change your life, and you'll definitely feel a difference in mind, body, and soul for me. Yeah. If that answered your question.
Yeah, no, Reiki. I had some minor Reiki sessions. They were kind of, informal as examples, but I did feel the difference. They were using some of those, like the tuning forks and some different
Yeah,
things.
the tuning fork is awesome. She had the sound ball. So she actually, yeah, she played the sound ball. It was amazing. But it was something that was new for me because I'll get shiatsu, Thai massage, sports, any kind of massage, all day. But that was something that I tried that was very different. And since I have taken my own class to become certified in Reiki, so I'll be offering Reiki sessions pretty soon myself. That was the impact it had on me, forced me to learn more about it. So
No, yeah, no, 100%. I'm feeling like, at some point I may, get some certifications. I really do enjoy, the wellness space, and I definitely have a few, things that I need to finish and finalize. But like even just being in Florida by the beach, like I always think about inviting people just to have that experience, because it's just super important. And I know that a lot of the world is holding on to so many things that is keeping them from their destinies or where they truly desire to be. So I like to always get as much insight as possible on releasing. I mean, because I feel like I don't even know, like even for me, like are there things that are in the way. And then I've been kind of trying to like kind of, I guess, assess and address is something that I've been thinking. I've been trying to like, okay, assess different situations. Like, what could it be? Is there anything? Because I'm not really emotional at all. Like I have a hard time like getting into like an emotional like like crying or whatever, like if I'm at a funeral or something like that. But like there's no other really space that I feel like super emotional. So I don't know if they're blockage or is it I'm just not like that, or what is the case may be, because I haven't had it's never really been an option for me, like especially being a leader, being progressive, being going, like it's like what, like it's like I get it, but no, I don't. What I mean? It's like I try to have compassion. Yeah, I have compassion, obviously, and if somebody really needs to talk about a pressing issue for them, then I listen. I feel like I listen a lot better now as I've matured. But I've always been a listener and offered insight. But for me personally, I'm just wondering, because I'm at the precipice of a world of opportunity, right? So it's just like I want to make sure that there's no blockage. I need to release.
Yeah. So, and there are other things. I enjoy yoga. Yoga is very helpful as well. I think the more you just kind of move, and there's kundalini. It's so many different things. I think it's just really up to what.
What were you about to say? Kundalini? What?
Yeah. So, and I'll share this Instagram page that I follow because they are. It's a. I
Like
want
the
to say that
Kundalini, like the body, like like from
yeah.
the.
So it's a style. And they have so it's a style of yoga. Let me see if I can find their I have to send you their Instagram. But what they give, this lady is so awesome. She gives so many different examples of things you can do every day, whether it's anger, releasing so many different emotions. So I'm gonna just shoot you their I'll make sure you get their Instagram handle because I enjoy watching them. Yeah. So let's see. Anything else before we end this that you want to add or you want people to know?
I mean, the biggest thing that I would like to offer to people is for them to smile continuously, and do the things and practice the things that helps them smile, no matter the circumstances, no matter the pressure, no matter the external stimuli. Because I found that the ability to smile internally, one, it's infectious, and there's an energy attached to you being happy, and you have a beautiful smile, and you being able to smile, walking into a room and smiling at somebody. I mean, typically people, have a natural mean mug supposedly, but I enjoy smiling, and I'm, and I love to be happy. But I feel like that's the thing that I would like to offer, because even in business and everything that you do in your relationship, if you wake up happy every day, right, then there's a chance that that energy could rub off on whoever you're laying with, or whoever you're going to see first, or whoever you're going to enjoy. And then even if they are not experiencing the most amount of happiness, or maybe if they tend to, it happens at work, it happens to all people. Like people go to work and they,
Yeah.
oh, that one, coworker or that one boss or whatever the case may be. It's like, I'd rather them say, man, Gerald's always smiling over, the other. And then eventually they might ask you, well, how come you're always smiling? And then you can say, it allows them to also be exposed to that energy. So yeah, just do what it takes to find that smile. Wherever you are on your visionary path, go to where your heart desires you to be. That's going to create that smile.
I like that. And I periodically, that's been my thing for years now, to post. I'm very intentional about posting a picture on my business Instagram where I'm just smiling and I'm encouraging people to smile. And then I also kind of list the benefits of what that looks like, just hormonals for your hormones and you just being your best self. So I like hearing that.
Smiley picture today.
Yeah, as you should. Like I said, I encourage it. I'm always like, make sure you smile. And and I love, yeah. Yeah, that's dope. Look, my phone over here ringing. So
I don't know how long we went, but I don't have a timer up. But yeah, for sure.
No, it was a nice conversation. I know that the other men out here will be happy to see, because like I said, you're the first one. So they're going to be happy to see. And you've given some really good professional recommendations and suggestions, and let us know where we can find all of your information, your website, your Instagram, whichever one is, that you want to have the people find you on.
Okay. One thing I want to offer for the men, since you brought that up, is that
please,
right now in today's society, the way that everything is going, and some of the things that I've even been experiencing, is like, we cannot be afraid to collaborate. Right. And we talked about team. We can't be afraid to we can't afford not to show high levels of camaraderie for one another. And when we go into these situations, we have to make sure that we come with love, right? Because there's a lot of apprehension. I know there's a lot of educated brothers that are stuck in the corporate space that are highly educated, masters this, PhD that, finance this, a finance master, stuck under a company that they don't want, to work for. But that 125 to 250 a year kind of has them in, cage, when they could essentially partner with some other brothers, even if it's on a side gig or a side hustle, that puts him in a position to springboard past that. I mean, these should be $25-50 million brothers based on Wharton Business School and all kinds of stuff like that. And then don't be afraid to reach back and help. If you really got somewhere and a young brother or young sister is reaching out and you have some insight, don't be afraid to to offer some insight. Like, don't be so caught up into your world, into your success and everything that you've gone through and everything, because most of those people have not released. So, let's operate with camaraderie as the baseline of our culture, right? Let's really care. Let's spread love. And I feel like we'll move faster, go further, and have a lot more success collectively if we operate with camaraderie as the baseline of our culture.
I like that. So brothers, y'all listen and make sure y'all do that, and don't be no gatekeepers, and just I hear that. I'm glad
there's too much abundance, right? But to get to your thing, GeraldLacey.com, I need to update it, but the visionarypath.net has all of my programs. The visionarypath.net. I'm at the Visionary Path on Instagram and YouTube. But if you Google Gerald Lacey II, all of my stuff will come up, and you'll find the book. You'll find my social pages, and really, I'm just looking forward to serving and reaching a level of vision fruition that all I do on a daily basis is give back. So that's the journey that I'm on currently. So anyone that wants to join me.
Okay. I got some fun stuff that fun things that I do at the very end. And first, we're going to bring in, because I'm going to get you your flow sauce. I'm going to get it to you. I'm going to get it to you soon. Yeah, so I'll make sure and get this out to you. But yeah, this is my baby right here. Yes. So a couple fun questions before we close. So right now, what are you listening to? Like, what are you playing? What's your go-to when you're in grind mode? What's your go-to music?
All right, so This is interesting. So literally, there's an AI platform that I've been using to create my own music because I wanted to listen to uplifting, motivating perspectives when I am listening. So to music, it's called Suno, the one that I use, but it allowed me to create the vibe. I've been using West Coast smooth rap with Afro beats and fusions, and it's been coming up with songs. And then I would actually write the lyrics, and it actually performs it for you. Nice. TVP is my music name, the Visionary Path. So I'll be spreading some of that as well. But other than that, I like lo-fi mixed with Afro beats. It's difficult sometimes for me to listen to the words, and I haven't necessarily found a lot of words unless I'm going all the way back to Jay-Z, Reasonable Doubt, or I still like some hustle music or some good life or lifestyle. Like I like uplifting type of music if I'm gonna listen to rap, because I still I'm from South Central Los Angeles, so I do love rap music, which made me want to create my own. But yes, Suno is what I use to kind of create my own vibe, and that way I could just kind of like almost listen to myself, but it's well performed, or I just listen to some lo-fi or some Afro beats or something that's positive.
Okay, I like that. And let's see. So, food, what's your spot? And I mean, we don't have to get too, don't drop your spot and have people pulling up on you, but what's your what's like a cool spot if you're back in the city or in between? You travel a lot, so it don't have to be limited to LA, but just your go-to spot.
That's a good one. So in Vegas, Saffron is a restaurant I'm a part of. Fin and Feathers, that's my boy Dope spot. I always like to go there. Definitely people should pull up to both of those. Those are both in Las Vegas, but I think they have Fin and Feathers in Atlanta. That's a young man, D. He's out the Crenshaw district as well. I honestly because I don't eat meat, but I went to Marathon Burgers, so their vegan burgers actually pretty good. Yeah, it's not like Impossible or any of that. It's actually made of a patty, so I enjoy that. Got to support the Crenshaw district. But man, let me see what other place that I'm not connected to. Like one of my main breakfast spots closed. It was Norma's at the La Parca Meridian in New York. It was amazing. Okay. Man, there's a couple places. There's a place called F16 in Scottsdale that has some incredible French toast if you like that. But really, I just gravitate to all the healthy spots that they have, like some good bowls or some good just some good delectable delights. But yeah, those are my favorites: Saffron, Fin and Feathers, Marathon Burgers for the neighborhood, and any juice spot. Oh, it's Miami Juice out here is super fire. I'm in Florida right now. I love Miami Juice.
I'm gonna have to check that out. Miami Juice. Okay, and so let's see. We talked about music. You touched on your food. So what if we're just going back down a little bit? What were some of the places you would frequent? Like, so let's go our 20s, and I ain't gonna tell our age, but going back a little bit. But like, what were the like the spots to be pulling up to back in the day? Just maybe give me like one or two of your just like go-to spots.
So Century Club, LA.
Century Club used to crack up. Yes.
Century Club was like everything. That was, that was way back. That's when you used to get numbers on pen and paper, right? So you check, and then moving forward, when I moved to Florida, one place that was super dope down there, they don't exist anymore. It was called Nikki's Marina, where you'd be able to pull up your boat in the back, and people be partying, and it was like that type of. I'm sure they have some new stuff right now. I'm in the process of getting another boat, so I'll be able to bring you up to speed on some of those. But Nikki's Marina was crazy. Century Club is classic. Club Raw back in the day at the Luxor was classic. That was like where everybody, the Floyd Mayweathers and everybody was there. This one he was about 17 and 0, so that was quite some time. Uh, that's pretty much, the Atlanta Buckhead area, days was cool. When that was really going on. But yeah, those are probably
And
like the
then,
main things I remember.
and let me ask you this. So LA, so when I think LA, I'm thinking lowriders. I'm thinking like you just Crenshaw the whole nine. Like, what's been one of your, favorite rides? Like what comes to mind when you think about one of your whips that you were in? Like what was the one of your favorites?
Um, so again, I was lucky and blessed enough to get some of my dream cars. So I feel like probably some of my happier moments was, well, I had a hardtop turbo Porsche, but then I'd ordered a convertible. So they were both blue. One was navy blue, and then I ordered a royal blue with the navy blue top turbo. So I feel like really just riding up and down the coast in LA in a car that I had uh, basically envisioned and was able to get. And so I'll say this is 2005. So 2005 turbo Porsche convertible, and then also same year 2005 Aston Martin Vanquish, which was like the best combination of, because we like it loud and sexy and loud, right? So that Vanquish was like the perfect hybrid sound between European and American muscle. So you're just really just driving through, the same Cali streets and up and down the same Cali street where I used to, drive up and down Crenshaw in my mom's Corolla with the speaker in the back seat. You know what I mean? Trying to meet, a girl to actually, seeing your dreams and visions come through to be able to, be in, $250,000 vehicles and just really just that were paid for, and just really just be able to enjoy. But just I think just going up and down the coast in something that was amazing. And back in the day too, this was early when I lived in Hawaii. Ala Moana was always cool to ride through. It was like a Crenshaw field, but it was in and that's when I had one of my earlier vehicles was a 95 two-door Tahoe, right? It was Raiders colored black with the thing, and that's when Neepers came out, so I used to pull through there. But that was like when 22s first came out, so that was yeah, that was exciting. And then at the Century Club though, which was a crazy experience. This had to be, so the car was like 98, so it had to be, yeah, definitely prior to 2000. But when the first Lexus came out, the GSs that had the first xenon lights ever, right? So me and my boy Todd ordered those in Hawaii, so it was close to Japan, so it came to Hawaii first. So we had them like the first, pretty much when they first came. But then I shipped it to LA, and being outside being outside at the Century Club, mine was royal blue, like clean, right? So when I hit the lights, when I hit the thing and the lights and it went out, it was actually a day. Shaq was out there, the Booyah Tribe was out there, but it was like, yeah, it was so new that it was exciting. Just the fact to see them lights come on. I don't know if you remember when the first blue lights came, they was like, because I'm
trying to picture it as you're explaining it. I'm gonna have to be on Google after we get on.
So now everybody has them, but at one time, all of the lights were just white or opaque or whatever color they are, right? Yeah, and then now when the xenon lights came out, that Lexus was the first car that had them, but they moved. So when you turn the thing, they probably all moved now, but and it came on, and then Shaq, I think he was in like that burgundy Superman something that he had, but like, I mean, it was to the point where he stopped, and it was like, it's Shaq, so he probably could get anything that he wanted, but it was like, that was actually kind of an exciting moment to just, be, at the forefront of essentially just a whole transitional change in the automotive, access market, I guess.
Absolutely. And the Century Club, you took me back. Century Club. Great.
But that was a good time though. I mean, I'm sure it's still happening right now. I don't go out as much, but like, being able to having those parking lot experiences and those Crenshaw Boulevard experiences, they're just classic moments of people gathering and collaborating, enjoying, and really, should meet new people, right? And then bring people.
So that takes us back to the app. Make sure
You know where we all meet.
Yeah, download where we all meet. And when I do post this, it will have everything written out as far as your handle and everything. So thank you for taking the time to come on.
Thank you.
And yeah, we will do this again very soon.
Yeah, we'll do some updates. We'll do it live from Jackson. I gotta come out there and participate in the growth.
Absolutely. So we will welcome you when you arrive. And we have to go on and do a live on Instagram. We have to plan for that. You have to actually go on Instagram and do just like a mental Monday so you can give some more, inspiration and encouragement to the men out there. I get a lot of my male clients. They're always asking me about things like that, just from a man's perspective. So when I'm ready for that, you'll be the first one I reach out to.
Let's do it. All right, cool.
See you